This pandemic has made known cracks and faults in the state of South Carolina relating to education and relating to health disparity, relating to where you can go to buy food. Things that were once hidden are in plain view.
Black Carolinians Speak, Portraits of a Pandemic is a oral history and document collection initiative that we started a couple of weeks ago. The idea came about from Michael Allen, who is a commissioner with the South Carolina African American Heritage Commission. On a conference call with the commission, he kind of told us a story about just an experience he had going to Costco. And he realized that the vast majority of the folks in line with him were African American. And he said, you know, where are our voices?
I guess as I stood in the line a little bit longer before I actually got into the door, I just said, this looks like a history project. So I immediately reached out to Dr. Eric Emerson, the director of the Department of Archives and History. So I just went back and said, well, you know, you realize that in 1919, the majority of citizens in the state were African Americans. And so I guess you're telling me that you can't really provide to me any type of information reflecting their experience in this global pandemic of 1918-1919. I said, somehow the South Carolina African American heritage needs to be a part of this conversation, this dialogue about COVID-19 and its impact on African Americans in this state. The voices and the experience of African Americans have shaped in the development and in the growth of South Carolina. So it's even doubly important that we have their voices at this defining time in our state's history. And the data that we're receiving is that African Americans are being disproportionately affected by this pandemic. We don't want to be in a place where a significant number of African Americans may have lost their lives or have been impacted by COVID-19, and their voices are not part of the historic narrative, not only of the state, not only of the South, but of this nation. We need to create some type of portal, some type of website, some mechanism that would allow African American citizens to share their experience.
Our web portal, it's on the Green Book of South Carolina website. That's www.greenbookofsc.com/speak. There's a beautiful portrait which was donated to us by famed low country artist Jonathan Green. We've got a full kind of gamut of the project and a form that folks can submit their story there. We're taking audio, we're taking video, we're taking written testimony on the form. We're looking for artwork, music, whatever, finger painting from your children. It doesn't matter. We want all ages, all residents around the state to be represented. And so whatever you have that you're willing to share, you know, that's what we're looking for, because we want to really capture what it was like to be African American during this experience.
Yeah, one submittal was very, I guess, emotional, in that the person, you know, shared the fact that they tested positive, and how they felt when they learned that, how they were impacted because of the knowledge of that, how they went through a process, you know, from a medical perspective, from a health perspective, and the challenges that they faced with that, but the hope that they have, despite going through this, that was not going to define who they are. It was moving. You know, I shared it, you know, as I read it, the fact, you know, you often start something, you may do a project or begin an initiative, and the question is, well, will anyone take advantage of it? Well, will people see the relevancy in it? Will they just be, you know, transparent in it? And when I read that last night, all that we have gone through in terms of the discussion, the back and forth that we went through, the decisions that we made to make sure we thought things were done right, I felt a sense of validation. Wow, this is what this person has gone through. And if this portal, this website was not there, humanity would not know what she experienced. And I liken this to a song that is often sung in African American church. It basically, there's a refrain of it that says, I look back and wonder how I got over. And so in some respects, without even thinking about this from a spiritual perspective, this web portal, this engagement will tell future generations how we got over.
Most important, and this is kind of one of those things that Michael and I realized when we kind of talked about this project at the beginning, we will actually have a documentary record of what it was like to be Black during this pandemic, which is very different than the 1918 pandemic. You know, our stories matter and they need to be captured, and you know, not just for future researchers, future historians, but you know, there might be a family reunion down the road where Nana shares this story of this pandemic that shut everything down and her kids don't believe it. Well, you can come to the Archives and History Center and go through this collection and see, you know, 20 years from now, 40 years from now, that, you know, this happened, this impacted our community, but we rose above and we persevered and came out better for it.